Hawksbee and Jacobs. Gold. Plate on talkSPORT.
Yes, every week during this summer we will be bringing you just a bit of the old stuff we've done over the years. We've Sport or Naught, we've had the birthday spread, and we've dipped into the archives for the late great Fred Trueman, a man we were delighted to welcome here into the studio on a couple of occasions.
One of England's finest bowlers of all time.
A legend.
First man to 300
British
wickets.
sport.
Wonderful bowler.
Presenter of Indoor League, one of the great cult programmes of the 70s, and a fascinating character.
Fascinating character.
Think of Goffey in a cardigan, basically, with a pipe.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, basically, that's it, Fred. But Fred...
A man not short of self-confidence,
yeah.
It's fair to say.
Or neither was Fred.
Yeah, exactly.
But Fred brought out a tape many years ago. I take it was originally an LP.
I think it was an album, yeah.
And we would play it on the show on a regular basis, and we didn't know whether Fred was listening to it or not until Jeffrey Boycott said to us, "He's after you, lads. Fred wants his money."
Yeah, he wanted royalties.
Yeah, he wanted royalties, but that wasn't. Well, anyway,
we still owe him the money.
I think we played bits of Fred's Great Balls of Fire. It's like an autobiography, a sort of talking book, if you will, of its time in the early days.
Yes,
and. As Andy said, he was a very confident man, and beyond cricket, I mean, he appeared in an episode of Dad's Army, didn't he? It was brilliant.
It's on YouTube, you can see it.
And so he would look at people in other walks of life and think, I could do that. So this was when he took to the world of entertainment. This is Fred.
At the beginning, I was game for anything, and I found my name leaping out of the headlines again in 1969, when I went on the board as a nightclub comedian. I had no ambitions in that direction, really. I did it because I accepted a silly bet made when I was in a club in the northeast listening to a pretty poor comedian. I asked the owner what he was paying the man and was amazed when he said £250 a week. So I said it was a damn good living for nothing, because the stories he was telling were so old and badly delivered into the bargain. The someone who overheard me said, "Do you think you could do a week up there in front of a crowd like this?" I've always found challenges hard to refuse, so I put a bold face on and said, "Yes, piece of cake," and the bet was struck. I approached the Lipthorpe brothers, who owned the Fiesta clubs at Sheffield and Stockton, and they were willing to let me do a week. They paid me a bit of brass too. I had a marvellous time. They thought of a great idea to present me to the audience, projecting a film of me bowling at the audience on a paper screen, and at just the right moment, I burst through, leaving the screen in shreds. It shook 'em rigid the first night.
Yeah.
I went down a treat because I can make up my own original jokes, as well as tell them properly.
Okay, Fred.
I kept it up 7 nights a week for nearly a month,
that is impressive,
before I realised that much though I enjoyed it, I had more important things to do. To be truthful, I got fed up with it.
Great payoff, isn't it?
It went wrong, that opening, when he hit a woman in the third row. He actually bowled it at her.
I think he
did.
did.
A beamer.
Going out with a ball was a massive mistake. Now, apart from all that sort of colourful stuff, Fred talked candidly about his personal life and the problems of being a cricketer on the road as a married man. This is Fred's first part of Fred's story.
If things were going better for me on the cricket field at the end of the 50s, they certainly weren't at home. In fact, my marriage was beginning to break up. On reflection, I suppose it was inevitable. I met Enid in 1951 at a cocktail party given by her father, who was the mayor of the Scarborough at the time. We married in 1955 and set up a house in West Ayton outside Scarborough. The first 5 years or so passed by happily enough. I worked hard at trying to make the marriage a good one. I believed in family life and had been raised to regard marriage as a contract for life. There was nothing I could do about it, being away from home when we travelled to play other counties. And the 6-month tours abroad placed a tremendous strain on our relationship. Cricketers are human. When you're used to a healthy marital relationship, it's more than flesh and blood can stand to go without sex for 6 whole months.
Steady on, Fred.
Enid never accused me of sleeping with other women on the tours, but she was an intelligent woman and must have known that I had had the odd bird.
What a beautiful turn of phrase there, Fred.
During Wimbledon, I always go, I have had the odd burdick.
Oh, the odd burdick.
When he comes on.
Things did deteriorate between Fred and Enid, and he found himself, effectively kicked out of the marital home.
Oh, yeah.
And times were tough, as Fred explains.
I was upset and disappointed at the time. But I can understand now just how fed up she must have felt. It would have taken an angel to enjoy being my wife at that time. The rousing scenes got worse and worse, until I frequently left the house and spent the night in my car. There was one notable occasion in 1961 when I was playing against the Australians at Headingley. And on the Saturday afternoon, I had 6 wickets for 1-run spell in less than an hour to put them all out. The press were calling it the finest piece of pace bowling ever seen in a test. I wondered to myself what they would have thought if they had known I'd spent the previous night in the back of my car in a Leeds car park with an overcoat for a blanket, arriving at the ground before anyone else so that I could have a wash and shave. For a long time my address was often the car, Yorkshire Dales.
One bloke actually had a go at him, didn't he? And said, Fred, you look a right state, you look so dishevelled, sort yourself out. Well, you know what Fred was like, he wouldn't take that.
Yeah.
This man was being so blasé into the bargain that I was really furious, and I'm afraid I hit him in the mouth and he had to be carried off.
There we are.
There we go, yeah.
Fred Trueman there from
that
from
honestly
the
is the answer for England's problem. Joe Root, I hope he's listening to this. It basically, Keaton Jennings and all those that aren't doing too well, they should spend the night in the car before the game. Because it seems to work.
I'm not sure that's great preparation, really, in this modern era. But if it worked for Fred, he could still go out and... He used to go out
and the England football team, they can stay in the car.
They all can sleep in the car, then go and skittle out the Australians. Certainly the bowlers, they can sleep in the car. So there we are, H&J Gold
Good
Plate.
old Fred, that's
we'll come
fantastic.
Up with